Welcome to Links and Locks Action Network's golf betting podcast presented by Bet365. I'm your host, Andy Lack, and I'll be joined alongside Action Golf contributor Tony Sartori for these Best Bets episodes. Tony and I will play 18 holes today, giving our 18 favorite picks for this week's tour event, the U.S. Open. Before we dive into this week's episode, a reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else every day. They power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. Okay, Tony, we're on the tee here for our U.S. Open best bets. Get us started.
All right, I'm going to start in the outright winner market. I'm going to go after Collin Morikawa, who is 17-1 at Bet365. In my opinion, obviously it's not going to be a hot take what we just saw last week, but he is the most likely candidate in this field to take down Scottie Scheffler. He's been battling Scottie all season while consistently coming just short of him, which happened again at this past week at the Memorial. But I mean, it wasn't even Morikawa had multiple chances on the back nine to take advantage, but the second place finish was more of a product of him failing to convert out some pretty good chances he had rather than Scheffler just pulling away. I think Morikawa can still go blow for blow for him, even with how well Scheffler's playing right now. Morikawa's in tremendous form. He's got 3 straight top 4 finishes, and I think this week is just a great opportunity for him to finally knock that door down. He tied for third at the Masters, tied for 4th at the PGA Championship, so in his 2 major championship appearances thus far this season. So obviously he can handle the high level of competition that we'll see this week. Pinehurst, number 2, I think is going to set up pretty nicely for him because it's a course that's going to reward eye accuracy, both off the tee and on the approach, and Morikawa is very accurate in his ball striking. He also in 2023 finished tied for 2nd at the Rocket Mortgage Classic and tied for 6th at the Tour Championship. Those are 2 tournaments also contested on Donald Ross designs. And so I think just with the recent form, he almost took down, or he competed well with Scottie last week. And then his previous experience on Ross designs, I like Morikawa at 17-1.
I'm surprised you're not joining me on Scheffler, man, because I think this is the week to do it.
I've abstained. Little later, a little different market.
Yeah. I've abstained for quite some time and kind of a fool me once situation. Listen, I think it's largely golf course dependent, right? I think that Scottie is very beatable on certain golf courses. Okay. And there are certain golf courses, however, that I believe are going to accentuate his skill set more than others, right? These types of golf courses are really cerebral golf courses that are long, emphasize approach play, have firm, small greens, emphasize around the green play, emphasize long and straight. I think that's one of the many reasons why both of us like Scottie a lot last week, and you even took the plunge on the short outright number, which I should have done. And Pinehurst, in my opinion, is just the quintessential Scottie Scheffler golf course in terms of all of the things that Scottie is the best in the world at. Pinehurst happens to accentuate those 3 things. Like, I think if you're quite simply asking me, what are the 3 main things that matter at Pinehurst? Touch and creativity and brain power and decision making around the green. Now, whether that's like touch with your hands or lag putting skill, just being sure of yourself around the green and knowing what to do. Long iron play. Like, I think this golf course is going to disproportionately like reward great long iron shots versus poor long iron shots. I think that if you are a poor long iron player, you are going to be in serious, serious trouble here. And then long and accurate driving, right? And Scottie may not be the longest, he may not be the most accurate, but if you combine length and accuracy, he's the number one total driver of the ball in this field. Those are like the three things that you need to do at Pinehurst. And we are in a situation where the same player is the best in the world at those three things. So I'm not going to overthink this one. I got a 4-1. I'm happy with that. Scottie Scheffler to win the 124th US Open at Pinehurst.
That's a great number. That's down is pretty much like 330 across the board now. So I'm just gonna get mine out of the way. Super short and sweet. I'm also Scheffler. I did first round leader this week instead of outright at 12-1, just because, and I was actually gonna take him again on the outright, but I couldn't believe that this number was over 10-1. And so I just think the value is there because I think I wouldn't even be shocked. Like you said, it sets up so perfectly for him. I would not be shocked if he goes coast to coast. I mean, he's just so by far and away the best player in the world right now. It is just ridiculous. I mean, all the tweets going around Twitter today about he's won his last 4 straight tournaments and where he did not have a pending felony charge against him. I mean, he's going for what is this going to be? This would be his 6th win over of a 9 tournament stretch. So what he's doing right now is just incredible. I'm not going to waste our time on it anymore. Everyone knows what he's doing right now. And I just really like the number in the first round leader market over. It's 12-1. I like it anywhere down to 10-1. But like you as well, I also love him in the outright market. I think that's a very strong play as well. I honestly think he could go coast to coast this week.
Might as well get all the Scheffler love out of the way early. I have one more fun Scheffler bet. I took Scottie Scheffler to beat Tommy Fleetwood 110-1 straight forecast. First of all, I think Scottie's going to win. So, you know, a lot of folks are figuring out and betting the non-Scottie market. But I think a little bit of a hack, like Fleetwood's 30-1 in the non-Scottie market. And you're only betting the non-Scottie market if you think Scottie's going to win. So why wouldn't you just bet Scottie over Tommy at 110-1? I love Tommy Fleetwood on this golf course. You know, I think about these golf courses with firm, sandy soil, short grass everywhere, like LACC and Shinnecock and Congaree. Tommy's played well at all of those spots. He's got a really well-rounded game. He's played amazing in U.S. Opens in the past. I think firm, fast, difficult is Tommy's jam. And again, like I don't trust him to beat Scottie, but I think he probably has one of the highest chances, in my opinion, whether it's contending all throughout the tournament or doing his classic backdoor top 5. Like, I think that Tommy has one of the highest chances based on my numbers and course fit to, you know, finish in the top 2 to 3 of this tournament. So Scheffler to beat Tommy Fleetwood 110-1 straight forecast.
I love it. That's a really creative bet. And it would just be the most Tommy Fleetwood finish ever if he went out, had a tremendous week just to finish second to Scottie. But I'm going to go back to the outright winner market. I'm going to go after Viktor Hovland, who's 18-1. Hell of a roller coaster year for him. So last season, obviously, we've talked about him so much on this podcast, but concluded last season in ridiculous form where he won the Memorial, went on to win the BMW, and then went on to win the Tour, right? So following that Tour Championship victory, the debate was where's Hovland fit, kind of almost basically against Scheffler in like where are we at in the world rankings and who is the best in the world. Now, obviously, now that seems so absurd to think about that was a debate at the time because of what Scottie has done since then and how Hovland kind of fell off to start this year. But that just, I still love him this week at this number because he's starting to turn his game around. I still think 18 was, we're still kind of buying low on him. So he missed the cut at the Masters. And I think that kind of sparked something in him because we've seen the game kind of turn around since then. He finished 24th at the Wells Fargo, 3rd at the PGA, and 15th at Memorial. So he's trending upwards in the right direction. And this is kind of what happened last year too, right before he kind of exploded right over the final stretch of the year where he got hot right at the end of the year. And we know how good he is when his game is on. So if he finally gets, you know, out of his head, smiling around the course again more often, he's playing good golf, I think he's absolutely live this week at 18-1.
Like that play on Hovland. He kind of broke my heart last week, but he's starting to play a lot better golf. I'm going to go with Brooks Koepka top 10 plus 240. I've talked about the cerebral nature of this golf course. I don't think that there is a player in golf, maybe outside of Scottie Scheffler, that understands the pace of a major better than Brooks Koepka, right? Like he is the type of player that knows how to win a golf tournament that's won at even par, right? He won the US Open at Shinnecock at 1 over par, right? He has won multiple major championships, PGA championships, US Opens. He's won them in easier scoring conditions. He's won them in tougher conditions. I personally think Brooks is actually at his biggest advantage when the scoring gets tough, because he's one of the types of players that truly understands, like, if I start out this tournament +2 through 6, I don't need to freak out, right? He understands how to play to the smart side of greens. And this is a golf course that is going to tremendously, tremendously penalize you for missing in the wrong spots. Like, short siding yourself on this golf course is dead in so many ways. And not to mention, I mean, not that I put a ton of stock into what happens on the LIV Tour. Shot a 65 on Sunday, gained 6 strokes off the tee, led the field in both driving accuracy, and was one of the leaders in distance. Like, rather have him be playing well on LIV than nothing at all. And that Sunday round at Houston was pretty damn encouraging. He would be the guy I would bet if I wasn't betting Scottie. So I'm going to go with Brooks Koepka +240 top 10.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm going to go back to the outright winner market. I'm going to go after Matt Fitzpatrick, who's 45 to 1. 2022 US Open winner. So that tells you all you need to know about when his game's on. He can compete against these fields on tough tracks, right? He's also in great form. He's made the weekend in 7 of his past 8 tournaments with 4 top 11 finishes over that stretch. Finished 5th at both the Memorial and the Players. Again, these are competitive fields that he's flirting with winning at. The reason I particularly like Fitzpatrick this week is that usually the one thing that holds him back is he sometimes struggles to get the whole game together, right? If he gets the driver going, then sometimes the irons and wedges start to fall behind. Or if he's really dialed in with his wedges, sometimes his putter starts to go a little sour on him. But the reason why I like him so much is because at the Memorial, everything was working for him. He didn't really have a poor club in the bag. He gained true strokes in every category across the board en route to that 5th place finish last week. That was actually the first time all season Fitzpatrick has gained true total strokes in every category across the board. So clearly peaking at the right time. He's got the pedigree of being a former US Open champion, so I know he can handle the pressure of a Sunday here. So at 45 to 1 on a guy who I think is starting to peak at the right time, I like Matt Fitzpatrick this week.
Yeah, I bet him top 10. That's my next bet. Matt Fitzpatrick +375 top 10. I bet him last week, and I really liked what I saw. I mean, he kind of backdoored a top 5 finish, didn't get the outright ticket home for me, but he played really great. And the main thing is that he got better over the course of the weekend, and he particularly got better when the scoring got tougher. Like on Sunday, what you saw at the Memorial, that's probably the scoring average that you're going to see at Pinehurst. Like, that golf course played basically 3 strokes over par. That's probably what we're looking for at Pinehurst this week. And Fitzpatrick has shown us time and again that he is the type of player that when the scoring average is +3, he has the ability to go out there and shoot -1, -2. And over the course of 4 rounds, his even par, his lack of mistakes, while he kind of lets everybody make their big numbers, and he just grinds out his bogeys and pars. Like, he has shown us time and again on these difficult golf courses, whether it's Bay Hill, Memorial, Brookline, Southern Hills, like all of these golf courses won at 6 under par, single digits under par. That is Fitzpatrick's jam. So I would be highly, highly surprised if he does not find himself in the mix once again at Pinehurst.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And then I'm going to do one more outright winner, and I'm going to do Tony Finau, who's 65 to 1. Again, this is kind of just going after guys who are peaking at the right time, and that is also Finau, who is coming off an 8th place finish at the Memorial. Like Fitzpatrick, Finau's also gained true total strokes in every category across the board last week. That was also the first time he's done that since January. Finau has now made the weekend in 7 consecutive tournaments, posting 5 top 20 finishes over that stretch. Recent form is always so big when you go into major championships, especially historically at the US Open. But also, if we're going more specific to how he'll handle the course this week, he's been awesome on Donald Ross designs, the classic small greens. The ball rolls off quickly, so you really got to be accurate on your approach shots. But he won the 2022 Rocket Mortgage Championship, which was at Detroit, and then he also has also finished inside the top 20 in 7 consecutive Tour championships, which are all at East Lake, obviously. So he can handle the Ross designs well, and those Tour championships are against the best in the world, just like he's going to face this week. And at 65 to 1, I think there's worse flyers to take in this field than someone of Tony Finau's pedigree.
Love that pick. Bet him. We are aligned again. I bet him first round later, 55 to 1. I went through over the last 5 years, looked at round one performance in majors. Finau ranks 6th in that field. Like he is behind, only guys at the very top of the odds board like Scheffler and Rory. Finau knows how to play these major championships. And we saw him play great at Muirfield Village last week in terms of like all aspects of his game. The putter improved for him. That has been his biggest bugaboo all season. Obviously, he's one of the best iron players in this field. Like he has been striking the ball beautifully the entire year. It's really just been the putter that's held him back. He's actually got a pretty underrated short game as well. I don't know if I trust Tony to hang around for 4 rounds of a tournament. It always feels like he has that one bad round that has him lose ground to a more consistent player like a Scheffler or a Collin or a Xander. But in terms of spiking for 1 round, feeling Finau's ceiling is right up there with the best players in the game. And we've seen him get off to a hot start at these majors time and again. So I'm going to go with Finau, first round leader, 55 to 1.
Love it. I'm going to go to the top 10 market. I'm going to go after Sung-Jae Im, who's plus 650 at Bet365. So he began the season with a 5th place finish at the Century, and which was another course where Corey and Crenshaw were involved in the design. And then he kind of fell off the radar for about 3 months. I think a missed cut at the Masters really sparked something in him, because that had to have been the final straw, because he immediately started turning things around after that. He went over to Korea to get his head and game right. He won a championship on that tour. Obviously, he's way better than the competition over there at this moment, but he came back and then fired off 3 top 10 finishes over his next 4 tournaments. So anything, it was just more of a mental reset, and clearly it has worked because he is posting results and his game just seems to be all the way back. And I don't think the market is quite caught up yet. When you're getting plus 650 on a guy to finish top 10 when he's done in 3 of his past 4 tournaments. So Sung-Jae Im at plus 650.
I'm going to go with another top 10 play kind of in this tier of the odds board and roll with Russell Henley plus, oh, actually I have him for top 20. So a little safer on the Russell Henley play. I almost thought this number was so good it was a top 10, but I have Henley plus 375, top 20. You combine the skill set of accuracy off the tee and long iron play and short game, and Russell Henley has all of those things in spades. I think the switch to Bermuda grass greens as well is fairly significant and plays right into Henley's hands. Henley is one of the biggest risers in this field when you put him on Bermuda greens. He has had so much success, particularly on this strain of champion Bermuda grass in the Southeast. It feels like he's always in contention at the Wyndham Championship. That's another Donald Ross golf course with, kind of sloping, undulated, champion, firm, fast Bermuda greens. I just think the combination of his skill set on this golf course, he's quietly finished, by the way, top 20 in 2 of his last 3 US Opens, 14 at LACC, and he was very in the mix, very relevant over the first 2 days at Torrey Pines, kind of faded over the weekend, but he's proven that he could be, again, pretty relevant on these golf courses, on these USGA setups. And I think of all the USGA setups he's played, because of the champion Bermuda greens, I'd argue that this is the best one yet for Henley. So plus 375, top 20. Russell.
That's a great transition, because I'm going to go after Benny On in the top 10 at plus 650. And the reason I say that's a great transition, because you alluded to Sedgefield, which hosts the Wyndham Championship. Benny On just finished runner-up there last year in 3rd place in 2019. So he clearly has no issues with the very stereotypical Donald Ross designs. But he's also just been one of my favorite players on tour this season. He's a brilliant iron player. He also bombs it well off the tee. 2 things I think will give him a huge edge this week, kind of what you're talking about Scheffler earlier. He's finished inside, or Ben On has finished inside the top 10 5 times through 15 tournaments this season, which bodes well when you're catching a price like plus 650 this week. So just with that Ross, with that previous success on Ross courses and the recent form and how this course should profile well for a guy who's such a great iron player, I like Benny On top 10 at plus 650.
I would agree. I like Benny on a lot this week, so I'm glad we're on the same page there. He kind of just missed my my 9-pack of play. So I'm going to go in a different direction and go to the top 40 market and roll with Harris English top 40 plus 145. Harris English has quietly finished top 10 in 3 out of his last 4 US Opens. He finished top 10 at Winged Foot, he finished top 10 at Torrey Pines, and he finished 8th last year at LACC. He really knows how to play these tougher USGA setups, just like Henley. I also love the fact that these are Bermuda greens. Henley has played a lot of great golf, one of the best long-term Bermuda grass putters in this entire field. I am going to go with Russell Henley, top 40 at plus money. I think that one is a steal.
Yeah, that's a really good price. I like that play a lot. I'm gonna go after a first round leader play. I'm gonna go after Bryson DeChambeau, who's 33 to 1 to lead after the first round. He's my only live player on the card this week, but I just kind of want to ride his momentum after a brilliant performance at the PGA Championship. He finished runner up as Schauffele was able to close it out, but that doesn't take away from how well Bryson played across the board. He didn't really have a single weakness that week. He was sinking putts, he was sinking chips, tossing darts on the approach, and obviously still hitting bombs off the tee. There was just not a weakness in his game that I saw or that the metrics would say that we should have seen. But also he was the first round leader at Augusta this year before finishing in 6th. Another reason why I prefer DeChambeau in this market this week, especially at such a big price, 33 to 1. In my eyes, DeChambeau is one of the top tier golfers in this field. So 33 to 1, I think that's a great first round leader play this week.
Love that. For my final 2, I'm going to go a little bit off the board here with some more fun ones. I'm going to take Wyndham Clark plus 175 to miss the cut. If you remember, I ripped this at Augusta and it worked out pretty well for us. Here's my issue with Wyndham Clark. You know, he first of all, he's not playing great. Like his iron play is really like he's not had one good approach week in 6 starts. He hasn't had a good iron week in over 2 months. So something is really off with his approach. And I think that this is one of the most demanding approach courses on tour. Second of all, you know, he's talking about how these greens are really severe and difficult and that, you know, the greens are kind of on the edge. Like they're already, if they let him get any firmer and more baked out, then they're going to lose the greens, right? And I go back to the old Jack Nicklaus quote of, it was so easy for me to eliminate players at a US Open when you walk around the locker room and you hear about the players that are complaining about the golf course, right? And, you know, Wyndham Clark talking about, listen, this isn't going to be LACC. It's going to be a little bit harder than that. And Wyndham Clark talking about the severity of the greens. I've spoken to a lot of people on the grounds that day. Like, greens are fine. Greens are in great shape. Plus, you're just not playing well. So plus 175 plus money to miss the cut. We see great players miss the cut at the US Open all the time. Like a great player this week is going to shoot 78 and miss the cut. I'm going to take my chances that guy's Wyndham Clark.
I absolutely love that. You convinced me. I'm telling you on that as well. I absolutely love that play. My final play is going to be a Max Homa first round leader play at 50 to 1. We have not seen him close out a win on American soil since last year's Farmers Insurance, which was nearly 17 months ago, which I didn't even realize that until I was doing the research for this for our show. But that's a pretty insane stat because he's still a very good golfer, but he's not closing anything out. So that's why I like him in the first round leader market this week. But he still has the tools to take down leaderboards in a single round. Homa's made the weekend 9 of his past 10 tournaments, posting 3 top 8 finishes over that stretch, including a 3rd place finish at Augusta against an obviously similarly talented field. He's also fared well on Ross Designs, finishing inside the top 10 each of his past 2 appearances at Eastlake, while also finishing inside the top 25 in each of his past 3 appearances at Detroit Golf Club. And most importantly, it's not his approach game that's holding Homa back. So again, we keep reiterating, it's going to be approach players this week. You have to hit the greens in regulation because it's going to be so tough to scramble here. And so I don't know. I don't trust him over 4 days with the current state of his game, but I think he has the tools to at least contend on Thursday at 50 to 1.
I'm going to finish us off with a little fun top Australian market. I'm going to go with Minwoo Lee, excuse me, plus 320. There's been a lot of Cam Smith buzz this week, which I can't say that I really agree with. I mean, this is still a US Open where you have to be long and straight. And I think one of the reasons why Cam Smith has had so much success at golf courses like LACC and golf courses like Augusta is because they don't feature that high missed fairway penalty that a golf course like Pinehurst does. So I worry about his driver. He's coming off a terrible driving performance in Live. He shot 80 in his final round, and compare that to Minwoo Lee, who is one of the best drivers of the ball in this field when you combine distance and accuracy. He's a great lag putter as well. I'm going to go with Minwoo Lee, top Australian plus 320.
I like it. I like it.
Excuse me. Well, tickle in my throat there.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, that'll do it for our best bets episode for the US Open. Before we get out of here, a final reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. As a reminder, this podcast is presented by North Carolina's newest sportsbook, Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. As a reminder, our action experts Spencer Aguiar and Nick Bretwish return with host Roberto Arguello tomorrow for our U.S. Open betting preview right here on the Links and Locks podcast. So for Tony Sartori, I'm your host, Andy Lack, and we'll see you back here next week on the Links and Locks podcast.